Right, a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for choosing us to inform you in this edition of TV47 News Tonight, first Wednesday of the last month of this year. You are just in time for the latest in the world of news, sports and business, including that very heated race for Bungoma senatorial seat where my colleague Mike Gwongo is standing by. He'll be filling us in the course of this broadcast on the level of preparations and what, of course, to expect tomorrow when the over 600,000 residents of Bungoma go to the ballot to choose the successor to Moses Wetangula, who, of course, was the senator. Then he got that position to become the leader of the third arm of government, that is the National Assembly. Of details of that and much more coming your way, including ahead on TV47 News Tonight. Azimio leader Raila Odinga sets conditions for President William Ruto on his inaugural People's Consultative Meeting.
Hawa ma-commissioners wanne tunataka mpaka warudishwe pale wako. Warudishwe pale.
As President William Ruto reiterates that he will not be blackmailed.
Musikubali tugawanywe katika mirengo. Hakuna mirengo tena. Ile kazi iko hapa ni sisi tuliochaguliwa tuungane na tukabiliane changamoto za Wakenya. Viongozi wamechaguliwa na hakuna mtu amechaguliwa kwa bahati mbaya kwa makosa.
3 residents from Meru County filed petition to save 2 IEBC commissioners and at least avert a public scrutiny on the conduct of the 4 commissioners who differed with the IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati at the tail end of this year's electoral process.
The 3 petitioners are citizens and they have come through this court in defense of the Constitution, even under Article 3(1) of the Constitution. So we feel that we should proceed today. These are fairly straightforward issues that can be canvassed.
The stage is set for a battle of the titans in the race to replace National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula as Bungoma Senator.
Nataka senator mwenye atakuwa neutral na mwenye anajua kazi yake ni gani, akiingia Senate afanye kazi ambayo inastahili yeye kufanya.
All right, TV47 News Tonight begins right now. A very good evening to you and welcome aboard. My name is Kenneth Kazungu. Catherine Simaloi will be handling the sign language interpretation. President William Ruto is urging Kenyans to remain united despite the move by Azimio leaders to hold protests against the ouster of 4 IEBC commissioners. The Raila Odinga-led outfit officially commenced their public consultative meetings at the Kamukunji grounds. Flora Limuki begins our coverage tonight.
President William Ruto has asked Kenyans not to be swayed into politics that will divide the country. His remarks coming on the day when Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga began a 30 days anti-government rallies.
Musikubali tugawanywe katika mirengo. Hakuna mirengo tena. Ile kazi iko hapa ni sisi tuliochaguliwa tuungane na tukabiliane changamoto za Wakenya, tufanye mpango ambayo tutazalisha chakula, tuondoe njaa.
According to Raila, December 7th marks the start of a series of consultations on the state of the nation following the suspension of 4 IEBC commissioners who disagreed with Chairman Wafula Chebukati when he announced the presidential results.
Kuuliza wananchi kama wao wanakubaliana na ile njama ambayo inapangwa na serikali ya Ruto na vibaraka vyake.
Speaking in Machakos on Wednesday, Ruto asked Kenyans to unite and support the government's development plans. Ruto saying his government will not be blackmailed by Azimio leader Raila Odinga through planned protest.
Viongozi wamechaguliwa na hakuna mtu amechaguliwa kwa bahati mbaya kwa makosa.
Ruto spoke when he presided over the groundbreaking of the 20.1 billion shillings Machakos affordable housing project.
When you are pushing us and making sure that we get decent affordable housing.
Na ile housing fund ambayo itakuwa mandatory ndio tutumie hiyo housing fund kuhakikisha kwamba wale watu hawana pesa, tunawapatia pesa waweze kununua manyumba zile tutajenga, ndio tuwe na home owners wengi.
He launched more than 5,000 housing units in Mavoko constituency in a bid to actualize the government's strategic focus on expanding access to secure dwelling places at an affordable price. Flora Limuki, TV 47.
And of course, as the push and pull surrounding the 4 IEBC commissioners, 2 of whom have resigned wedges on, 3 residents from Meru County have filed a case at the Meru High Court, asking it to halt any action from being taken by a tribunal recently formed by President William Ruto to investigate the conduct of the 4. Now, this comes as 2 of the commissioners have already called it quits at the commission. TV47 Moige William with details to that story.
The 4 dissenting IEBC commissioners could at the very least avoid a public scrutiny into their conduct if a petition by 3 persons goes through. Through their lawyer Kiogora Mugambi, Kiogora Munjuri, Godfrey Kinoti and Joshua Mwirigi have filed a petition seeking the court to stop a tribunal formed by the president and headed by Court of Appeal Judge Agri Muchelule to probe the Cherera 4 over their conduct at the tail end of this year's general election process. The commissioners, who had deferred with the commission's chair Wafula Chebukati regarding the validity of the presidential results, finding themselves in hot soup, with leaders allied to the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition calling for their exit in office. Already 2 of the 4 commissioners have since resigned. The commission's vice chair Juliana Cherera and Commissioner Justus Nyang'aya threw in the towel even before the tribunal started its work, with Francis Wanderi and Irene Masit staying put or bait being suspended. The National Assembly approved the removal of the 4 following a report by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, which investigated the conduct of the 4 after 4 petitioners asked the August House to have the 4 removed from office.
Because, my lord, the 3 petitioners are citizens and they have come through this court in defense of the Constitution, even under Article 3(1) of the Constitution.
The 4 commissioners who have been mentioned in the matter as interested parties have requested not to be enjoined in the case, saying there is a similar case in Nairobi and it would be good for these cases to be joined together.
The issues she will be following on her own, not through this litigation. So she requests to be excused from this litigation.
In our petition and in our application, we are seeking orders against the tribunal that was set up by the president. Yes. And if you look at the petition that is in Nairobi, it's not talking about those issues.
The High Court judge has asked the legal teams representing the parliamentarians and the Attorney General to submit their responses by Friday, where the matter will be heard and determined.
The Attorney General and the National Assembly who wish to file, I will only grant 2 days.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga has been opposing the removal of the 4 dissenting commissioners, with Cherera and Nyang'aya giving in to pressure and writing to President Ruto informing him of their resignation. Moige William, TV 47.
Now, tonight, Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga has issued fresh demands to President William Ruto, which the latter must fulfill or face countrywide protests. During a rally at the historic Kamukunji grounds right here in Nairobi County, Odinga wants the president to freeze the appointment of the new IEBC commissioners and reinstate the 4 commissioners removed by Parliament. And as Apollo Kamau now tells us, Azimio will hold a parallel Jamhuri Day celebrations at the Jacaranda grounds.
Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga marshaled his followers to the historic Kamukunji grounds, where he made a formal declaration to take on President William Ruto with a raft of demands, failure to which he will call for countrywide protests. Odinga's irreducible minimums, led by Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi, warned President William Ruto to stop the appointment of new IEBC commissioners, to allow a consultative process and reinstate the Cherera 4, failure to which they will hold countrywide demos and boycott the 2027 general election.
Hawa ma-commissioners wanne tunataka mpaka warudishwe pale wako. Warudishwe pale. Alipana Ruto mpaka azuiliwe kuteua tume nyingine ya uchaguzi ambayo ni yake ni kama kargosi yake. Kama amefanya namna hiyo, kutakuwa kuna uchaguzi katika taifa.
Wakati ukifika tuhitaji maandamano, William Ruto hatutakuuliza ruhusa, tutaenda maandamano. Wakati ukifika wa kuuliza haki zetu, wewe hatutakuuliza ruhusa. Harakisha uwape wa Kenya haki yao. Usiwapea haki yao, wewe tungojee wewe.
Na wasi wa Kenya, tudumisha amani. Ikiwa ni maandamano, we shall do maandamano peacefully. Wangapi wanasema tutafanya kwa amani?
In their protest against the Kenya Kwanza regime, the coalition's leaders have further said they shall boycott Monday's Jamhuri Day celebrations and will instead hold parallel celebrations at Jacaranda grounds.
Rais atakuwa na sherehe yake kule Nyayo Stadium, lakini sisi na Wakenya wenzetu tutaenda kule Jacaranda grounds.
The coalition giving President William Ruto a January ultimatum to reduce the prices of basic commodities, fuel and electricity. Also in the opposition crosshairs is the importation of genetically modified foods, which the opposition wants the government to abandon.
Wakatoa subsidy ya chakula, wakatoa subsidy ya mafuta, baba watu wako wanaumia na wanasema wewe tupatie mwelekeo.
The opposition also rallied their supporters against the Hustler Fund, while protesting against what they said was state capture of the judiciary and parliament, a move they said amounted to dictatorship. Azimio further demanded government to factor ethnic and regional balance in appointments, errant cabinet secretaries to be disciplined, and the restoration of cash for the elderly and leader mama programs.
Ni uwazi si uwazi. Hii 50 billion ya Kenya kwisha. Tunataka tujue zimetoka wapi. Treasury haijaidhinisha. You have a duty to explain to this country. Hizi pesa mmezitoa wapi?
You stand served. That was Azimio's clarion call to President William Ruto if he fails to implement their 9 irreducible minimums or face street protests. Apol Kamau, TV47 in Nairobi.
And speaking of Jamhuri Day celebrations, and the committee in charge of the Jamhuri Day celebrations today met at the Nyayo National Stadium in preparations for the celebrations expected to take place on the 12th of this month. And as Paul Kirobi now tells us, the government expects more than 20,000 Kenyans to attend the feat, with international guests also expected to grace the occasion.
The country prepares to hold its 59th Jamhuri Day celebrations on 12th of December this month. Preparations are underway at the Nyayo National Stadium, where the event will be held. This will be the first Jamhuri Day celebration to be conducted under the new leadership of the 5th President of Kenya, William Ruto. The President is expected to outline his agenda and the efforts made to make sure he fulfills the promises he made to Kenyans during campaigns. The Ministry of Interior says this year's Jamhuri Day will have a different outlook as far as the President's agenda is concerned.
And the slogan will be to connect, innovate, and inspire. And what we've done is we've launched a week-long celebrations that was launched yesterday at Sarit Center by President William Ruto. And we have also aggressively involved guys in the ICT sector. And we expect a number of guests, both locally and globally, who will be gracing the celebrations.
More than 20,000 Kenyans are expected to attend the fete and are expected to start getting in the stadium at around 8 a.m. in the morning. This as the opposition maintains its stance on organizing a parallel event at the Kamukunji grounds.
The whole point is that we want the entire country to be part of these national celebrations going forward. And lastly, on matters to do with the traffic and the movement, there will be an advisory that will be relayed in due course
The president Tuesday, while launching the Kenya Innovation Week and the virtual desktop program at the Kabete Technical Institute, reiterated that guests gracing the Monday event will be mainly from the technological fields, such as global giants Facebook and Google, as well as other international companies, to help shed light on ICT advancement in the country.
We shall have some of the leaders here in the country. We will be able to access a good number of scholarship for our people. So 20,000 is a small number compared with the potential that we are working on. We have also Arizona State University, the Thunderbird School of Management, who has also provided a scholarship program. So we have a number of scholarship programs that are available.
As part of his commitment, the president in his manifesto had promised to increase and fast-track broadband connectivity across the country by the construction of 100,000 kilometers of national fiber optic connectivity network and also support the creative economy. The holiday formally marks the date of the country's admittance in 1964 into the Commonwealth as a republic. The same day is also the date when Kenya obtained its independence from Great Britain in 1963. Paul Kerobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Also, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has condoled with the family of the late Stanley Munga Githunguri, the former Member of Parliament for Kiambaa constituency. The DP mourned Githunguri as a diligent hard worker and a man whose entrepreneurial acumen was unmatched, also passing condolences from His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto to the family. The DP was accompanied by Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti and Kiambaa Member of Parliament Njuguna Wanjiku.
To try round Kehara there, Gachie, whatever I've been able to do for myself as a business person, I owe it to the late Stanley. He sat me down and took me through his story of resilience, of hard work, of commitment, and told me I had a chance to do the same. The country has lost a great man, a great entrepreneur, an industrious man, a man of great character, a man of excellent leadership. When he became the Member of Parliament for Kiambaa, after 2 unsuccessful attempts, he did a lot that people can remember him.
Moving on, the Machakos University has been closed temporarily following demonstrations by students and area residents due to the increased cases of insecurity in the area. And as Stanley Nyaringita now tells us, the county boss, that is Wavinya Ndeti, is calling for quick measures to be taken to mend the sour relationships between the police and the students.
This was the situation Wednesday in Machakos University and its environs, as Machakos University students engaged with the police for more than 5 hours. The students were up in arms protesting the increased cases of insecurity, a situation that disrupted normal businesses.
Pale tunademonstrate hapa, tunauliwa kila siku. Polisi wanakuja kudisperse huku. Badala ya kudisperse demonstration wanatumia like bullets. Hiyo ni nini sasa?
Tuna demonstrate juu watu wengi wanakufa sana hii shule. Mmoja ameuawa na polisi, mwingine ameuawa na wezi. Sasa polisi wenye wanafaa tusaidie ndio wanatuua.
This is after a student who was shot by a police officer in Demos on Monday passed away Wednesday morning.
Wasikuja mtu sasa tukitoka nje tukipigania rights yetu wanatufukuza. Wamekuwa wapi all this time long? Sasa wamekuja wote, officers wote wanatukimbiza huku ndani.
In an internal memo sent to the students and staff, the university's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lucy Rungu, stated that following the demos, the university will be closed indefinitely. According to the OCPD Machakos County, Mosindiwa, a police officer who was injured in the demos, has lost his life. At the same time, the police officer who shot the student on Monday has since been arrested and is being detained in Machakos police station. This even as the county government on Monday noted that investigations in the shooting had begun and the sour relationship between the police and the students will be mended. On Monday, a police officer was arrested on robbery with violence charges after he attacked a student and robbed him of his phone.
We need to be very careful with our students, take care of them, and as we take care of them also, they should also follow the rule of law.
We've arrested 33 criminals
including a police officer, who have been mugging or robbing the students in that area. And some of them have been able to give intelligence or lead, and they have been able to lead the security team to Mololongo, where I've been able to recover 120 telephones.
For a long time now, cases of insecurity have been rampant in Isili, Kathemboni, Muthini and Katoloni areas of Machakos, where a majority of the students live. Stanley Nyeringita, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere in the section of education, stakeholders are against the idea of abolishing boarding schools, while others are in support of it, saying parents ought to get involved in bringing up their children. Now, the reaction follows a pronouncement by Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang, who mentioned that boarding schools may be phased out in future as implementation of the competency-based curriculum takes shape.
Come and talk to you.
A day after the Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang mentioned that boarding schools might be phased out in future as the government implemented the competency-based curriculum, some leaders in the education sector are against the idea, saying some learners might be disadvantaged if the plan is followed through.
When we come to the special needs education, we know very much that these learners, they need a close supervision by the teachers and the other caregivers. Our road paths are not in good condition, so a learner who is using a wheelchair, it will be so discomfort for him to move from home to school. The same case for those learners with visually impaired. It will be so difficult because now the parents have to look for a guardian who will be taking this learner from school to home and from home to school.
Tungesema kama mnataka kuface out system any changes, wacha iende na utaratibu. Secondly, serikali na katiba yetu inasema mambo ya public participation is very very important. Mambo ya public participation. Wacha niwe na huru ya kusomesha watoto wangu kule nataka kuwasomesha. Wacha nisiambiwe hata nikitaka kuwapeleka Ulaya naweza wapeleka, lakini wacha kuniambia kule vile nitafanya na mtoto wangu sababu ni haki yangu. Nikitaka aende boarding, wacha ule akona pesa ende boarding. Kama hana pesa, wacha akae nyumbani.
We do not take this one kindly, because there is serious investment done by even the previous governments, parents, and the religious organizations in putting up these institutions.
So we are urging the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Education to withdraw that statement immediately, because we are not buying that idea.
And there is a section of education stakeholders who are pro the idea of scrapping off of boarding schools, saying parents should play an active role in bringing up their children.
Our take is just as proposed by the government. Even as the government pronounces abolishing of secondary schools, I'm very sure that it is not a one-off thing. It will have to be very gradual and accommodative to the existing boarding schools, so that there's no wastage at all.
And here's what parents had to say on the ongoing debate.
Mambo na boarding school, serikali inafaa itupilie hiyo jambo mbali sana na iwache kuingilia mambo na boarding school. Sababu mzazi ndiye anachagua whether kama ataingiza mtoto boarding school ama atampeleka day school. Na unapopata mzazi anapeleka boarding school, unapata ako na sababu zake za kumpeleka mtoto wake boarding school.
Kwa maoni yangu sidhani ni jambo nzuri, hasa kwa sababu boarding school zinasaidia sana wanafunzi wenye wanatoka kwa mashinani, less developed counties. Napata hiyo mtoto akikuja boarding school, masomo yake ina improve, kwa sababu labda kwenye anaishi ama kwa hakuna stima, hakuna maji, hakuna ile environment nzuri ya masomo.
Watoto wanapokuwa nyumbani, kuna vitu ambao wanaitishwa na vitu hiyo inatusumbua zaidi na tunaikosa, lakini wakiwa boarding na walimu wao wataweza kusaidiana kule na vitu itaweza kupatikana kwa uwepesi.
Education peers said that the government may scrape off boarding schools and categorization of secondary schools as it continues to implement the new curriculum. In the meantime, some education stakeholders say before the government abolishes boarding schools, then it should involve public participation before arriving at a decision. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Moving on, the Senate Health Committee has today received a joint response from the Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital Management and the Nairobi City County Government with regards to the alleged negligence that led to the demise of 28-year-old Maureen Anyango, who died after giving birth to twins. Maureen died following what was said to be excessive bleeding, and as Elizabeth Atieno now tells us, the hospital has refuted negligence claims, insisting that the patient was well taken care of immediately after admission.
Today marks exactly 3 months since the tragic demise of 28-year-old Maureen Anyango, who died of excessive bleeding after giving birth to twins at the Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. The Senate Health Committee has since intensified its probe into the alleged medical negligence as claimed by the husband to the deceased, Robert Omondi.
From one of you, is this the way you treated these poor Kenyans? Would you like your child to be treated that way?
The Senate Health Committee today received a response from the hospital and the Nairobi County Government following the questions raised by the members during the last meeting held on the 10th of November 2022.
The patient was brought in by an Emergency Operations Center ambulance, registration number GKB 850B. Second response, details of the personnel who transferred and received the late Maureen. The patient was escorted by a nurse and a driver attached to Kaole 2 Hospital and handed over to the nurse in triage and admission room at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital.
One of the concerns raised by the committee was on the details as to why the decision to conduct an emergency cesarean section was deferred despite the late Maureen's critical state. The hospital now says that they had to manage, investigate and observe the patient since she had high blood pressure.
On the point of a post-operative note that the patient need to be, the pulse, the BPs ought to have been written. In the post-operative note, if you look, I personally wrote monitor vitals half hourly. So vitals includes the blood pressure, the pulse rate, the general status of the patient, which was supposed to be recorded.
The late Maureen's husband, Robert Omondi, has since accused the hospital of negligence, claiming she was not given the much-needed medical attention despite profusely bleeding for over 4 hours.
Juu bleeding ilianza, nilingia kama bleeding ishaanza, akigeuka hivi na alikuwa naona bleeding kwa bed sheet hiyo. Then huyo daktari akanipeleka hivi, hakusikiza. So nikamwambia the second time, hebu kujutoe, akaniambia just remove that thing peke yako. Nitoe peke yangu hiyo kitu. So with the courage nikaitoa.
On their response to the Senate, the Mama Lucy Hospital medical personnel have insisted that they did not neglect the patient, further stating that they commenced the second surgery at 2:10 p.m., adding that at the time there was no bleeding.
The mother was okay, there was no any complication at that moment. Usually what happens before you close an abdomen on a mother whom you operate on, you have to make sure 3 things, which include number 1, to make sure that there's no bleeding from the incision site.
So when we got to ICU, we moved that patient and made sure the patient is stable before saying anything. Connect the patient to the monitor, connect the patient to the vent, connect the patient on oxygen.
The widower earlier alleged that the journey to Kiambu Hospital was horrific since the ambulance driver was not conversant with the route, with the Senate Health Committee raising questions as to why the driver took 2 hours to travel from Mama Lucy Hospital to Kiambu Level 5.
I couldn't drive as fast as there because the patient was critical. They're also taking care of the patient.
At the verge of transferring the patient, there was no resuscitation equipment in the ambulance, and 2, they were not again readily available.
The Kiambu Level 5 Hospital has today confirmed that they received Maureen on the 7th of September at 1:20 a.m., but she succumbed later that morning. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has confirmed that the state of many Nairobi public health facilities is wanting, a situation that was confirmed by the Senate Health Committee during its visit this evening, where the members raised concerns on the congestion of patients and shortage of nurses at the facility, which has a 200-bed capacity despite making 30 deliveries per day.
The state of healthcare in Nairobi has been really wanting for years, for decades even, and a lot changed. That is the reason I had to become governor, to sort it out.
Our work is to make sure we help counties to improve on their systems. That is our responsibility.
As Maureen's family amplifies their call for justice, the Senate Health Committee now seeks to establish whether the tragic incident was caused by medical negligence at the facility or if the sorry state in the facility's infrastructure is to blame. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
To Bungoma now, where the stage is set for the Battle of Titans in the race to replace National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula as Senator. Our reporter Mike Egongo is in Bungoma County and now joins us live for a live update. Good evening, Mike. It's good to hear from you this evening. Now, by-elections, Mike, normally are characterized by a low voter turnout. Now, you've been there. You spent your day in Bungoma. I know you've spoken to both residents and also the other stakeholders. I don't know, what is the public mood? Are residents saying they will be coming out to vote, or what is really the general mood in Bungoma this night?
Thank you very much, Ken Kazungu. Indeed, it's a good evening here in Bungoma County, County 039 here in Kenya, Western to be precise, as we arrived here earlier today, as you mentioned earlier on, that we've got a chance to interact with various residents here in Bungoma who said that they are expecting someone who will be able to resource or to make sure that Bungoma resources are kept in good shape to replace former Senator Moses Wetangula, who vied for Speaker of the National Assembly and subsequently getting elected. So tomorrow is a big day for Bungoma residents. I don't want to talk much. I have here with me a returning officer of the Kandui constituency here in Bungoma County, who will be telling us what is going to happen tomorrow. Remember, Kandui constituency got about 118,000 registered voters, according to IEBC registered voters of 2022. He'll be telling us more of what will be expected tomorrow and maybe perhaps what should be done. Mr. Stanley, if I'm not wrong, what is the plan for tomorrow as at now?
Okay, I'm Stanley Kipkoskei Kipkore, the returning officer Kandui, and what I can say is preparations are going on well. We have just released the presiding officers and the presiding officers with their materials to the polling stations. So far, everything is moving on well. And as from tomorrow, we expect the stations to be opened at 6 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. So everything is moving on well.
How many polling centers, polling stations here in Kandui constituency, and maybe tomorrow, how is security manned around?
In Kandui constituency, we have 136 polling centers and 242 polling stations. As far as security is concerned, we have enough security. We have been provided with enough security to the polling stations, and they are accompanying the POs to the polling stations. So as far as security is concerned, we don't expect any challenges. Me only is to call upon the voters of Kandui constituency to turn up in large numbers and exercise their democratic right.
You've been here in the general election and you saw the turnout. What is expected tomorrow? Do you think maybe because of being by-election, it's not a general election, turnout will be lower than the previous one?
As always been in a by-election, the turnout might not for a general election. So we expect a low turnout, but it will be enough for Bungoma to have their own senator. Yeah.
What's the urge to voters? Perhaps candidates.
My urge to the voters and the candidates is the voters, let's turn up in large numbers and vote. And let's maintain peace, both to the voters and the candidates. Let's have a peaceful election, free of violence and intimidation, so that Bungoma County can have their senator.
Lastly, it's a by-election. We know that people will not come up in large numbers. By evening, maybe it's when people will be coming over. At what time will it be closed? Will the polling stations be closed? And when you close, that time arrives, and there is still some queues around, will you people allow them to vote?
Stations are opened at 6 a.m. But if for one reason or the other one, the presiding officer fails to hold the station at exactly at 6, then the time that lost on opening should be recovered when it's supposed to be closed. For example, if it opens at 6:30, then the PO will close the station at 5:30. So he or she has to recover the time lost when opening. And if it reaches 5, and the station is supposed to be closed at 5, people who are still in the queue will be allowed to vote, so long as they were in the queue by 5 p.m. If the station was closed at 6 a.m., was opened at 6 a.m. So if they're in the queue by 5, all of them will be allowed to vote. But those who come after 5, they will not be allowed to vote. Yes.
During the general election, we encountered some challenges of voters missing their names at the Kim's kits. Do we have another alternative, maybe a manual? What will happen tomorrow?
All the voters in the manual register are the same voters in the Kim's kit. So if you are missing the Kim's kit, it means you were not a registered voter. So we don't expect any challenges, because the manual registers are printout of what is in the Kim's kit. So if you were a registered voter, your name will be found in the Kim's kit.
What should a voter carry with him or herself during tomorrow's election?
The voter should carry the document that he or she used during registration. If it was the identification card, let him or her come with the identification card. If it was the passport, let him come with the passport. So it's the document that was used during registration.
Thank you so much. Wish you the best for tomorrow's activity. Thank you so much, Kazungu Ken. As you can hear, tomorrow activity is pumped and everything is in the pipeline to make sure that it goes well. We'll be streaming live results from here and other constituencies, just to make sure that Bungoma County residents and Kenyans get a glimpse of what is happening and what will be happening across Bungoma County senatorial race. Remember, Bungoma County got about 9 constituencies, with Kandui leading with 118,000 registered voters, with Sirisia Mount Elgon has 76,000 registered voters, Sirisia with 48,000 registered voters, Kabuchai has 67,000 registered voters, Bomula 82,000 registered voters, and Webuye East 48,000 registered voters. We have Webuye West with 58,000 registered voters, and Kimilili 61,000 registered voters. Tongaren constituency comes second with 84,000 registered voters, making a total of 646,598 registered voters here in Bungoma County. Before I let you go, Kazungu Ken, earlier on we managed to speak to Frederick Simiu, who is vying Vibrant Democratic Party, and Robert Sifuna, who is vying with Roots Party. Let's listen in on what they said before we move on.
Barabara zetu ziko kwa hali mbaya. Kama huko Lukuzi nilienda, assuming the woman has a maternal issue or she's going to deliver a baby, where would she get access to just reach that dispensary or an hospital? It's just impossible and impossible to pass through these roads. And we can't even call them roads. It's just a concoction of a small area where there's a little bit of the semblance of a road, and then the other places are just boulders and boulders of rocks that you have to maneuver. The only access that somebody can actually get is through use of motorbikes. And I do not think the residents of Bungoma should be confined to only one means of transport. Even the motorbike boda users need to have very good roads, because these guys are getting their bicycles through loans, but they can't actually access good roads. So they end up most of their time repairing their bicycles or their motorbikes.
Uongozi uko na mtu binafsi. Uongozi si jina, uongozi si chama. Tukipeleka watu those people who have our best interest kama wananchi at heart, we will see difference. Tuna tofauti uko mashinani. Mambo ya kudanganya wananchi, kampeni zinarudi katika mambo ya maji, barabara. Actually my sub county Bumula is the worst in terms of development so far in Bungoma County. Na tuko na viongozi wenye majina, wale wenye majina tuko nao. But maendeleo huku chini hakuna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those are the sentiments of the two candidates that are vying for this senatorial seat, bid, and we'll be getting to hear from them tomorrow after maybe they vote, and we'll be traversing across the 9 constituencies to get a glimpse of what will be happening. Remember, I'm told that Wafula Wamunyinyi, who is vying with Azimio la Umoja ticket, will be casting his vote at 7 a.m. maybe before Mwambu Mabonga casting his vote at 10 a.m. in Bumula constituencies. So tomorrow we'll be here with my colleague Sostin Wanji, and we'll be bringing to you everything that will be happening here in Bungoma. I'm Mike Kagwango. Back to your studio.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Discover a world full of opportunities, a place to build your skill and see the world in a different perspective. Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you hands-on experience to handle the world. We offer courses such as plant operator, plant mechanics, driving and trailer driving, CCTV and alarm installation, solar installation, electrical installation, motor vehicle mechanics and electronics, building construction technology, welding fabrication, roads and dam construction, hospitality courses, and many more. For you to join us, ensure you have your national ID card and be ready to enjoy the ride.
Remember, my skills, my future at Sensei.
Sensei College, my skills, my future.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
It has over 80,000 members, with its presence felt through 10 branches in Kiambu and Nairobi, with an asset base of 4 billion Kenya shillings.
TAISACO was founded way back in 1992 by tea farmers.
We decided to change the name from Kiambu Tea Growers Sacco now to TAISACO, so that we can be able to bring on board other sectors, civil servants, teachers.
We have the M-banking service. Our members can be able to transact at the comfort of their homes.
We have some in the US, Dubai, in the UK as well.
Tai is the Kiswahili name for eagle. It has focus.
Sikuwa na mashini hata moja, tulikuwa tunaosha na mikono. I was able kupata loan ya kwanza 80,000, nikanunua mashini ya kwanza.
Nilienda nikapewa pesa ya loan, nikanunua ng'ombe, nikaongeza sababu nilikuwa na moja.
TAISACO, that year's journey has been a game changer to all our members.
We got 40 million from TAI with easy payment terms. I will not hesitate to recommend
tie to any business person.
The secret to an instant glow and spotless skin. Acne C10 is a 10% pure vitamin C serum that effectively fades dark spots and clears dark patches. With a unique formulation, it is quickly absorbed deep into the skin to give optimal results. Acne C10, 10% pure vitamin C serum, safe on all skin types.
Tricent School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
TV47 and win Lotto. All you need to do is watch TV47 and send 50 shillings to the paybill number 328328, account name TV47 to enter the draw. The more you play, the higher your chances of winning if you send 50 shillings to the paybill number 328328, account name TV47. Win Lotto. Everyone's a winner. Remember, send 50 shillings to the paybill number 328328, account name TV47 and win with TV47 and win Lotto. This has been authorized by the Betting Control and Licensing Board of Kenya. BCLB number 000885. Play responsibly, not for people under the age of 18. Do you dream of working in Germany as a health practitioner? Mount Kenya University, through its affiliate, Equip Africa Institute, has partnered with Hochschule Koblenz University of Applied Sciences, Germany, to train you in healthcare assistant for German hospitals. The training, which targets those who have cleared KCSE and have proficiency in German, will be conducted in 2 semesters, with successful candidates being guaranteed apprenticeship and job opportunities in partner German hospitals. January intake is in progress.
Watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with TV47 News tonight. Now, Charles GOtv, the son to former KANU Cabinet Minister John Joseph Kamotho, has denied charges of forging a medical report with the intent of inheriting his sister's property worth 260 million shillings. Elsewhere, Ruiru-based Commander Samir Aduman Yunus has been charged before a Milimani court for abuse of office. The accused is said to have raped an identified victim. Here now is Andrin Kilemi with a roundup of court stories.
Appearing before Chief Magistrate Wendy Misheni, Charles GOtv Kamotho denied that on October 12, 2015, at an unknown place within Nairobi County, he forged a medical report with an intent to disinherit his sister in a 260 million shillings estate. Before taking the plea, GOtv had made an application through his lawyer to defer the plea taking, saying that the complainant was related to him and wanted to settle the case out of court. The court, however, dismissed his application and released him on a cash bail of 150,000 shillings or a bond of 300 shillings. Elsewhere, Ruiru-based Commander Samir Aduman Yunus has been charged with abuse of office. According to the prosecution, the accused is said to have used his position and had sexual intercourse with an identified victim.
To Section 134 of CPC.
This as the Anti-Corruption Court has acquitted former Kenya Pipeline Managing Director Joe Sang and his 5 former senior managers for lack of evidence in a 1.9 billion shillings tender for Kisumu Oil Jet Terminal. In a judgment rendered by Magistrate Victor Wakumile, the court freed Sang and his co-accused for lack of evidence and commented that the accused should never have been charged. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.
Moving on, and as the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, an annual international campaign for the elimination of violence against the gender-based violence is expected to end in 2 days, affected men have been urged to come forth and report cases of GBV. And as Beatrice Watare now tells us, FGM practices have also been highly criticized. Have a look.
As the country approaches the end of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, men who also fall victim to GBV have been urged to come forward and report the cases and fight for their rights.
Sasa tunataka kuomba wazee wetu pale nyumbani ambao mko. Anytime you are assaulted by your wife, no assault is criminal. Enda polisi, ripoti ili upate usaidizi.
Human rights activists say less men come forward to report cases of GBV when affected.
Na mara mingi katika jamii yetu ya Omogusi unapata ya kwamba baba akichapwa hawezi enda kwa polisi akaripoti ya kwamba mama amenichapa. Lakini mama akichapwa mara mingi huwa wanatoka wanajieleza.
In Kisii County, harmful practices such as FGM have also continued to define the lives of many young girls.
Na tuko na FGM. Na FGM in Kisii we are talking about 86% na tumewekwa katika mstari mwekundu.
This being among the issues that are representative of young women Democrats in Kisii County and Kirinyaga County woman rep say needs to be looked into and stopped, especially at the grassroots level.
Nataka kuambia ya kwamba FGM kina mama na wazee hakuna kitu ambayo inaongezea msichana wako. It only takes from the girl child.
So tunaomba kwamba serikali tushikilie, tusaidie, itupatie all the support that we need to make sure FGM come to an end. So we are urging the anti-FGM board that we know that is in Kisii and it is in other counties. Come down and look for the people that are working in the grassroots. Hii maneno ya kuingia katika boardrooms tutoke, tuingie mashinani na tusaidie wale watoto.
Additionally, religious leaders in Bungoma County have called on the national and county governments to invest in guiding and counseling in public institutions as a way of curbing GBV in the country.
Ni wito wangu kwamba wakati umefika kwamba serikali ichukue jukumu ya hata kuajiri guiding and counseling department ili katika sekta kama za hospitali na polisi, wakati ripoti hizi zinaweza kuripotiwa kule, they can refer to these officers ambao wako well trained kuhusu masuala ya jinsia.
Reporting for TV47, my name is Beatrice Watare.
Also, and Kenyans living in the diaspora are calling on the government to involve them while making foreign policies to help reduce cases of mistreatment of Kenyans who live and work abroad. Sylvia Nyongesa with details to that story.
So I think what is very important here is first to harmonize the relationship of policies out there.
Speaking at the 9th annual convention of Kenyans living in the diaspora held at a hotel in Nairobi, the Kenya Diaspora Alliance in Germany chair Samuel Kirui called on the government to only engage foreign partners who will trade with Kenya on equal terms as compared to previous partners who issued Kenya with strict conditions before giving the country aid.
Aid is good, but the problem that it has is that it creates a disparity whereby one has more and we are here begging. So I don't like to hear those things. Nowadays we have got them. When you hear some of the people talking about, we talk of investment, then they say, shall we write a proposal? Yeah, we need the whole thing about proposal. Yeah? Proposal. We need to write. What's the problem? Yeah? We need to write the proposal for the European or for the Americans. We have nothing against it. We need that money. But we need to have those money and investment in terms of equal partnership.
However, the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Dr. Alfred Mutua, assured Kenyans living in the diaspora of the government's commitment to tend to their needs and ensure their safety abroad, while at the same time urging them to invest in the Kenyan economy.
The bilateral labor agreements that we are now negotiating to make it easier for our 60 diplomatic missions and consulates to be able to galvanize and assist Kenyans, but also for Kenyans to be able to get jobs overseas. And it's something that we're working towards. We want Kenyans to be in Kenya. but we also want Kenyans to experience life overseas. And we know that the role that Kenyans play when they go overseas. And we like it when Kenyans are overseas because they're able to remit money here and able to come back with various ideas to build this country.
Over 3.3 million Kenyans live in the diaspora, with their remittances contributing up to 3% of the national gross domestic product, with the Foreign Ministry predicting an increase in the number of Kenyans going abroad, following discussions between the Kenyan government and the U.S. Embassy to ease travel restrictions to the U.S.
In August of this year, you could not get an interview for a visa till June of 2024. Today, if you go on the website, you can get an interview in the next 3 months. And we also made a decision that if you have had a visa to the United States in the last 5 years, you do not need to have another interview.
Sylvia Nyongesa, TV47, Nairobi.
To the world of sports now, where first Kenyan lady to win an Olympic gold medal in the 800 meters race, Pamela Jelimo, earlier today received her 2012 bronze medal at the National Museum. In a ceremony presided over by International Olympic Committee members Kipchoge Keino and Dr. Paul Tergat, Jelimo, Helen Obiri and Janet Chepkosgei received an upgrade of their performance in the 2012 London Games as a result of winners Maria Savinova from Russia, who was stripped of the medal due to doping.
To me, I'm very honored. I'm very honored. I want to thank those people, everybody who was doing this justice. Yes, 10 years of waiting actually is a virtue. Yes, you need to be patient. Let these athletes remain clean. Run clean and you'll be successful. There is no point for you to be coerced. Maybe you are introduced to drugs, that maybe it will affect you. It may cost you a life also.
Sana sababu inaonyesha ile tulikuwa tunafanya bidii yetu like 10 years ago. Finally tumepata ile haki yetu kufunza how marathon goes. But for me making debut in New York, as you know, New York is a tough course. But ilinifunza how can I come and train? How can I come maybe in the next marathon? Probably I do hope in next marathon I'm going to do well.
42 football enthusiasts earlier today took part in the CAF D coaching course organized by the Football Kenya Federation Nairobi East Branch. FIFA and FKF instructors George Mwangi and former Mathare United tactician Salim Ali will run the 10-day course, as the Federation is also running 2 other CAF D coaching courses in Trans Nzoia and Kajiado with 25 and 30 coaches respectively. Speaking during the training, former Harambee Stars footballer Ali Abondo urged the retired players to take up coaching courses in order to gain proper knowledge and skills which they will transfer to young players who will grow in their football careers with the acquired skills and knowledge, and in the long run raise the standards of football in the country.
Hizi classes ni mzuri sana na inasaidia former players na watu kama sisi tunaanza ku transit from playing tunaingia kwa mambo ya coaching. Kitu ningependa tu encourage players wale wako karibia retire, players wale wako active. Mostly kitu mimi ningependa ni to give back to community. Ni vizuri sana ile kitu tulikuwa nao, experience tumekuwa nao kidogo, unairudisha back kwa watoi.
When you are a player, you can understand until you get this kind of knowledge, you know. So basically, it's just about, I think the most important is just to get that knowledge and try to integrate it to whatever, with the experience that I've gotten from football, and basically trying to improve my playing and also knowledge about coaching and about football.
And of course, and that is TV47 News Tonight on this 7th day of December, the first Wednesday of the last month of the year 2000.